on a federal level, issues of immigration, Afghanistan, foreign policy. We need that diversity.
We have a very diverse community, 57% visible majority.
Especially the South Asian community that I'm very, very fond of. I see them as very hardworking, industrious, entrepreneurial people.
An issue that was raised by many new Canadians was the issue of fraud marriages.
Jason Kenney came to the same conference.
ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਘਟਨਾ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਜੋ ਜਾਪਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਇਆ that volcanic eruption, earthquake, ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ, ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾਲ ਤਬਾਹ ਹੋਇਆ, ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਸੁਣਨ 'ਚ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਰੁੜ ਗਏ. ਲੈਟਸ ਪ੍ਰੇ ਫॉर ਆਲ ਆਫ them ਐਂਡ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਨੀਡ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਲੋਈਏ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਚੱਲੀਏ ਔਰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ. ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਚੈਰਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਵੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ if they want to come and tell the people that they are raising funds for the victims of Japan earthquake. They are more than welcome at our program. ਉਹ ਆਉਣ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਔਰ ਜਨਤਾ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋ ਸਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰੀਏ. This is the time of need ਔਰ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਲੋਕੀ ਇਹ ਭਾਵਨਾਵਾਂ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਣਗੇ ਔਰ ਵੱਧ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈਣਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨ 'ਚ. ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ.
जब लड़की अपनी स्किन की वजह से परेशान हो
तो फिक्र की क्या बात है, लेजर स्पॉट है ना.
लेजर स्पॉट, फोटोफेशियल, थर्माज एंटी एजिंग, लेजर हेयर रिमूवल. लेजर स्पॉट, where beauty meets elegant professionals.
लेजर स्पॉट हाईवे 10 और क्वींस के संगम पर. कॉल शेला 9054872680.
लॉ ऑफिस.
किसी को कनाडा आना हो या अपने घर की क्लोजिंग करवाना हो, कोई अपना हमसफर खो जाए या फिर सड़क पर हादसा हो जाए, सांगा लॉ ऑफिस.
We deal in immigration, real estate, family law and personal injury matters, but don't settle for less than you deserve.
सांगा लॉ ऑफिस.
Give us a call 24 hours to know your legal rights.
9054569911.
ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਦੇ ਦੋ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ. ਪਹਿਲਾ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਗੇੜੇ ਕੱਢੋ ਤੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਦਾ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਆਓ. ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਤੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਆ ਭਾਰੀ ਸੇਲ. ਘੱਟ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ 100% ਫਰਨੀਚਰ. ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ. 9057906790 9057906790 ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ.
अपने कारोबार की तरक्की के लिए प्रिंट पब्लिसिटी और बेहतरीन प्रिंटिंग के लिए सिर्फ एक ही नाम, जहां जदीद टेक्नोलॉजी से स्टोर फ्रंट साइंस, चैनल लेटर्स, बैनर्स, रियल एस्टेट साइंस, सैंडविच बोर्ड्स, व्हीकल ग्राफिक्स, बिजनेस कार्ड्स, पोस्ट कार्ड्स, लेबल्स, फ्लायर्स आपके बजट और आपके वक्त में बनाए जाते हैं. आपका काम सिर्फ सोचना है, क्योंकि
We print your thoughts.
साइंस टू गो.
Chairman Rhodes, Chairman McFadden, the Honourable William Davis, Regional Chair Kolb, head table guests, Minister Raitt, my colleagues from the Parliament of Canada, representatives of provincial and municipal government, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I do want to give you my thanks once again to the Boards of Trade of Brampton and Mississauga for accommodating me today. I want to tell you now more generally how we see things going as we continue the recovery from the global economic crisis of 2 years ago. Canada was the last advanced country to fall into this recession. We will make sure its effects here are the least severe, and we will come out of this faster than anyone and stronger than ever. And ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what Canada has accomplished, and we're very proud of that. We didn't, as some wanted us to do, use the recession to engineer a massive permanent expansion of the employment insurance program. But we did do things like, for example, providing temporary extra funds for work sharing so companies and workers could avoid the expense and pain of layoff and the subsequent problems of rehiring and retraining. In fact, today I toured the plant of one beneficiary of that program, the Brandon Steel Company, where I met and spoke with workers on the production floor to hear their stories firsthand and to see how a program that protected over 250,000 jobs affected them. Of course, we also kept taxes low. In fact, we cut some more. We did some personal tax relief, some additional personal tax relief, and we did some investment incentives for business. Close to 500,000 jobs have been created by the Canadian economy since the recession. And as you can see, there are actually more Canadians working now than there were before. And we are one of the very few developed countries to even come close to achieving that target. We also will continue to focus on ensuring that the credentials of immigrants are appropriately recognized and employed. It is our conviction that having the relatively largest immigration program in the world, especially at a time of looming demographic challenges in the advanced countries, that this is one of our country's great strengths. But Canada and immigrants themselves must reap its full potential. How many times have you got in a cab and found that you're being driven by an accountant, a doctor, or a man with more degrees than a thermometer? It is a waste of talent. We must use those skills. We don't have immigration. The purpose of immigration, as we all know, is not so that we can have the best educated cab drivers on earth. So that will continue to be a focus. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our focus on a low tax plan to create jobs and growth. Now, just on this, let me say that in terms of the upcoming budget, there will be, in fact, much in that budget that the opposition can and should support. However, we have been very clear with them for some time that there will not be job-killing tax increases in this budget. We won't bring in a carbon tax, which amazingly the opposition has just dusted off and brought back out. We will not be, as they want, creating a 45-day work year under the EI system, because that would involve raising premiums by 35%. There will be no GST hike in this government. It is off the table. And we will not bring in legislation to change business tax rates, and certainly not to raise them. You know, the plan we enacted in 2007 to reduce business tax rates has even been supported by provincial Liberal and NDP governments who have themselves lowered their own rates to match our reductions. And frankly, I don't know what other country in the world would even contemplate raising its business tax rates just at the beginning of the recovery. This is pretty fundamental, ladies and gentlemen. You either get that it takes a low tax plan to create economic jobs, to create economic growth and jobs. You either get that it takes a low tax plan to create economic growth and jobs, or you don't, or you believe in a high tax plan. We get it. The world, by the way, thinks that Canada gets it, and we intend to ensure that Canada stays on a low tax course. Canadians are a strong, compassionate, and adaptive people. We faced hardship before, and we will again. But neither recession, nor war, nor natural disaster have ever seriously impaired the destiny of this great land. And Canada's best days are still to come. I want to thank you for having me back once again, and all the best in your own goals for the future. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. À la prochaine.
We are here today in Brampton for the annual lunch of Brampton Board of Trade and Mississauga Board of Trade. Prime Minister of Canada, Stephen Harper, just delivered a speech on the economic plan and the forthcoming budget. We will have some community leaders posting their views on our show. We have Pam Hundal over here. Pam, what do you think about the speech?
Oh, I think it was a wonderful speech. It was very clear and to the point, very understandable. I think he gave us some excellent points and real hope for the future.
Thank you. And what do you say for Ontario as you're running for an MPP? What do you say Ontario is going to benefit out of the economic plan?
I think now more than ever, Ontario families, students, women, seniors, they all need relief at this time. They're working harder and harder and seeing less and less in their pockets. So we need a strong economic plan, low taxes, more money back in our pockets in order for us to come through during these times.
Thank you very much. Last but not the least, give out a message to the hardworking families over there. Do they have hope?
Absolutely. What we need is a strong plan that puts money back more in your pockets. And I think everyone has some hope now with the Prime Minister here today giving us a strong economic plan, and I look forward to working with the communities in Ontario.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
good luck.
Okay, take care.
We have Mr. Param Gill over here. He's running for Member Parliament also. Paramji, what are your views about the forthcoming budget and the Prime Minister's speech on the budget?
Well, as the Prime Minister mentioned in his speech, I think the budget is going to be excellent for the Canadians. Obviously, the position that we're in, we may not have a lot of new programs or spending, but at the same time, he also assured everyone that there are going to be no spending cuts with regards to healthcare and education and transfer funding that go every year to the provinces. So it's very encouraging, as you also heard. In Canada overall, we've created almost 500,000 jobs, so which is awesome news. The Prime Minister also visited in my riding this morning. He was in Brampton, Springdale, visited the steel plant, Burnham Steels here in Brampton. Also spoke to the employees there and some of the management. So it's just wonderful for me personally to just be able to see the Prime Minister here in Brampton, because Brampton is now finally becoming or getting back on the map where it was kind of forgotten for years and years. So this is the Prime Minister's second trip here in Brampton in 2 years, and looking forward to his future visits over and over.
ठीक है जी, ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਹਾਰਡ ਵਰਕਿੰਗ ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਂਡ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟਲੀ ਵੀ ਆਰ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਹੀਅਰ, ਦੈਟ ਇਜ਼ ਦ ਮੈਜੋਰਿਟੀ. What do you see as a hope for them in days to come? Should they be hopeful? What is in there for them?
Absolutely, they should be hopeful. One of the other things that concerns us as immigrant Canadians, as you guys are, or new Canadians, whichever way you want to look at it, the Prime Minister is very concerned about how some of the people that are coming to Canada are still having difficulty with regards to their credentials, the recognition of their credentials. And as he mentioned, we do not need people with tons of degrees driving taxis or working at the gas stations and others. So our community needs to be assured that yes, the government is doing something, the government is looking after them, and their credentials will be recognized, and they can actually work in the profession that they have studied so hard, be it in India, Pakistan, or wherever in the world. But once you come to Canada, their credentials need to be recognized, and they need to be working in their field. That way they can contribute a lot more to the Canadian economy, and ultimately better for their own families as well.
Last but not the least, को मैसेज देना चाहोगे साडे प्रोग्राम दे राही?
बिल्कुल जी, मैं मैसेज देना चाहूँगा. I just want to thank the entire community of Brampton for standing by me in the last elections. As you know, we came awfully close. There may be an election in the very near future, and I will be very thankful, and I'm really looking forward to everyone's support, and really looking forward to representing the Brampton-Springdale community in Ottawa in the near future.
Good luck in the forthcoming days, sir. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Kyle Seaback is here. Welcome, sir. What are your views about it?
Thank you very much for having me. I think the Prime Minister gave a fantastic speech to talk about Canada and our recovery from the global economic crisis. When you look at Canada comparatively to the other countries that were up on some of the screens in the slides, you really see the difference in how Canada has performed and come out of the economic recession in so much better shape than virtually every other country in the world. And the talk about the plan to get through the economic crisis, the Prime Minister spoke about how we did not create larger bureaucracies or new departments. What we did was we brought money through to well-needed infrastructure projects across the country, from hockey arenas to community centers to roads to bridges. It was a great plan. It worked effectively. It didn't waste money. This was reviewed by the Auditor General. It was a fabulous program that really helped stimulate the economy. So, I think the Prime Minister really re-explained that to us today, and it was a great plan.
Last but not the least, would you give any message to the hardworking families of Brampton, Mississauga, overall GTA? Is there hope for them? What do you say?
Absolutely, there's hope. And one of the main reasons why there's hope is because we've come out of the global economic crisis with more employment than we had before. We're lowering taxes for businesses, which will allow them to hire more workers, more employees, increase salaries and wages. It's going to attract foreign investment, which will build more production in Canada. So I think that we've got a great plan that's going to benefit all Canadians.
Thank you very much, and good luck in days to come.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Mr. Badr Shamim, what are your views about the speech, sir?
First off, I should clarify that I actually work as an investment advisor, so I have to admit that this was the second time I've heard the Prime Minister speak in person around the conservative fiscal and economic plans that have been in place since the last recession. From personally, I think the Conservatives have managed the financial affairs quite prudently. We came out of this recession as one of the lowest debt per GDP nation in the G8 nations, and all the while, our small to medium-sized businesses as well as our large businesses came out smelling like roses. Our balance sheets are strong, our employment numbers are strong, and the country is heading for prosperity over the next few years.
जब लड़की अपनी स्किन की वजह से परेशान हो
तो फिक्र की क्या बात है, लेजर स्पॉट है ना।
लेजर स्पॉट, फोटोफेशियल, थर्माज एंटी एजिंग, लेजर हेयर रिमूवल, लेजर स्पॉट, where beauty meets elegant professionals.
लेजर स्पॉट हाईवे 10 और क्वींस के संगम पर। कॉल शेला 9054872680।
ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਦੇ ਦੋ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਪਹਿਲਾ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਗੇੜੇ ਕੱਢੋ ਤੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਦਾ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਆਓ। ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਤੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਆ ਭਾਰੀ ਸੇਲ, ਘੱਟ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ 100 ਫਰਨੀਚਰ। ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ। 905 790 6790 905 790 6790 ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ।
अपने कारोबार की तरक्की के लिए प्रिंट पब्लिसिटी और बेहतरीन प्रिंटिंग के लिए सिर्फ एक ही नाम, जहां जदीद टेक्नोलॉजी से स्टोर फ्रंट साइंस, चैनल लेटर्स, बैनर्स, रियल एस्टेट साइंस, सैंडविच बोर्ड्स, व्हीकल ग्राफिक्स, बिजनेस कार्ड्स, पोस्ट कार्ड्स, लेबल्स, फ्लायर्स आपके बजट और आपके वक्त में बनाए जाते हैं। आपका काम सिर्फ सोचना है, क्योंकि
We print your thoughts.
साइंस टू गो।
लॉ ऑफिस,
किसी को कनाडा आना हो या अपने घर की क्लोजिंग करवाना हो, कोई अपना हमसफर खो जाए या फिर सड़क पर हादसा हो जाए, सांगा लॉ ऑफिस।
We deal in immigration, real estate, family law, and personal injury matters, but don't settle for less than you deserve.
Sangha Law Office.
Give us a call 24 hours to know your legal rights.
905-456-9911.
Good morning. Welcome to yet another episode of Breakfast Buzz, where we make an honest attempt to educate new Canadians and youth to be well equipped and stay well abreast within the system and try to understand it and know what can work for them. Today we have Member Parliament of Mississauga Streetsville, Ms. Bonnie Crombie, who is a first-time MP. We welcome you in our studios. Good morning.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming at a short notice.
Oh, my pleasure. And greetings to all your viewers.
Thank you. And how would you deem important for the youth and new Canadians? Why should they be more involved?
Well, I think that's really critical. Let me give you a personal story, as a matter of fact. So, I went to university. I studied political science. And I got involved in the political process early in my life. I got involved in the Liberal Party, of course. It led me to be a member of Parliament. It's where I met my husband. We were both involved. We were both involved as youth. We were involved in the process. We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to make a change. We wanted to have an impact. And many of the and many of the youth that I met back then when I was 17 years old, are still friends today, contributing to the community. I think it builds strength and character to get involved in your community, whether it's through party politics, doesn't have to be. It could be volunteering. It could be at the hospital. It could be in a senior citizen's home. It could be at the food bank. But it's very important to get involved in your community, especially for new Canadians. With new Canadians, importantly, they get to meet Canadians, they get to practice their English skills, and they get to practice their other skills. I always tell new Canadians at citizenship ceremonies that the one thing they can do to contribute, and which they should do, is volunteer. Volunteer in the community. And this goes for youth as well as new Canadians. Because look what they do. They meet Canadians, they practice their skills, they get job experience, and it could always lead to a job. So it works for everyone. And this is what I learned as a youth, to get involved, and I did so because I wanted to make a difference in the community through politics, through changing policies. But there are many other ways to get involved, if not through politics, through the community, through community groups or service organizations.
In your riding, which happens to be in Mississauga, Streetsville,
that's right.
What sort of communities you have that are mostly placed in your riding? Let's begin with that.
Well, you know, I'm very blessed because I have the diversity of Canada in my riding. I'm very, very fortunate. I have a very strong South Asian community, which I depend on and I love dearly. And these are very strong, very industrious and entrepreneurial people that come from Pakistan and India. I have a very vibrant Muslim community from Pakistan. I have a very strong Sikh community and, of course, Hindus and Indians as well. But, of course, I have regular Canadians. I'm from Polish background. As a matter of fact, there are Polish people in my community, Portuguese people, Italian. So I have Canada in a teacup in my riding, and I'm very blessed. Very blessed for the diversity. And we get and as a result, we have many wonderful celebrations. You know, of course, we've just finished Diwali. And we had a big night. We've had many Diwali celebrations, of course. It was Guru Nanak's birthday as well, and we've had many celebrations at the temples, mandirs as well. Of course, we celebrated Eid most recently, and of course, we've been party to many of the efforts that have gone towards fundraising for the Pakistani floods. I mean, there have been many, many events. And I know you'll want to ask me about this. And just to continue, that of course we have Hanukkah today, leading into Hanukkah, and of course Christmas is coming. So I have it all in my riding, and I'm very, very blessed.
That's what Canada is all about, isn't it?
That's absolutely.
That we learn to live with each other in harmony and peace, integrate with each other,
That's right.
Try to understand each other better. But what I think needs to be improved at the national level, at Canadian national level, and do correct me if you don't agree with me, that we need to diversify on a national basis. Diversity, take to other remote areas, like a person living in Saskatchewan, a person living in Prince Edward Island. They would understand these festivals and try to because I wouldn't know anything about Aboriginals.
That's right.
Let's begin with that. Those were the founding people of this land. So there should be a better way, some program, some government program, don't you think should be introduced to understand each other yet more better?
Yeah, well, let's start with saying that, you know, people go where the jobs are. So we see people of South Asian communities coming to the larger cities for opportunity. And of course, when my people came, it was after World War II. They came as well for opportunity. We all do it, to have a better life for our children. That's why we all come here. And then we learn what wonderful place this is. Of course, now that there's a strong South Asian community here, you have a critical mass of people that are becoming very, very successful. Because I like to say, you come here highly educated, highly motivated, with many degrees, and we almost set you up to fail because you find out if you don't have Canadian work experience, it's very difficult to find a job. So the important thing first is to try and get Canadian work experience, and you can do that through the volunteerism that we talked about. And then once that happens, once you have people who are in positions where they can assist other South Asians, whether through mentorship programs, this is one option. There are many options that are available, and the government can assist as well. I know that some people have discussed the idea of a tax credit being available to companies who are friendly to new immigrants, to provide them those first opportunities to get that job. And this is not uncommon. Of course, you know, even in the government civil service, we have affirmative action programs where you give you give special consideration to people who are visible minorities, women, Aboriginals, as you discussed. So many things can be done and should be done. Many groups go through this same process. When my family immigrated, it was the same. Polish people, Ukrainian people, good, solid, hardworking people like yourselves came. And at first they were taking very low-level labor jobs, having to create businesses, didn't have doors open to them of the companies, to the boardrooms, right? This wasn't open to them. But after a generation, and their children went through university, and after they became established, these doors became open, and I see the same pattern happening, just not quickly enough, obviously, for the newer immigrants. So it will happen, and we have to incentivize it along the way, to provide whatever programs that we can to help it facilitate it so that it happens, and it happens a little faster.
No, but I may address this to you from a grassroots level, that genuinely new Canadians, or we could call them immigrants, they do tend to become frustrated because of this job issue.
Yes.
They have no Canadian experience. B, when we see the Stats Canada reports, it says and proudly tells us that GTA, it's a visible minority. South Asians are a visible minority. Do correct me again.
No,
But-
absolutely. I have 20% South Asians in my
walk
own
on the streets, we see that is true. But when we walk into government offices in particular, we don't tend to see it.
It's very true. Government offices, and I would say in corporate boardrooms in some of the larger companies, where you see new Canadians is as they're very entrepreneurial, creating businesses. But we have to incentivize, we have to create those incentives for them to have access to the boardrooms, to executive positions, and of course to government jobs as well.
I had this question asked to the Liberal leadership in general, because generally new Canadians feel that they belong to the Liberal school of thought, and that is in general term the understanding. And I happened to ask this to the leadership in one of the press conferences, and the answer I got, that they slammed everything on the present government, that we are not in the government. To some extent I do agree to that, but having said that, are the Liberals in the Parliament raising this as an issue? A. B, are the Liberals in general raising this issue at their party leadership level?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also agree that it's a failure of the Harper government that they're not making these incentives, not making it possible for newer immigrants, new communities to rise through the ranks, whether it be through the public service or whether it be through the public corporations. And of course, we have individuals appointed especially to do that kind of multicultural outreach, so that when they bring these issues to our attention, we discuss these issues all the time. Why aren't there more South Asians or more newcomers having access and having the same kinds of opportunities? Canadians who have been here for 50 years, why don't they have those same kind of opportunities? And what can we better do to present those opportunities? What are they? What can we do? What kind of programs should be in place? What kind of incentives should be created? And I know the idea of a tax credit for employers has been bandied about. The mentorship programs where where you would take on new individuals to assist them get jobs, mentor them along in their careers. These are some of the possibilities that are available. I know I've spoken to Hazel McCallion, in fact, about recruiting newcomers, especially, onto the boards of companies, particularly the not-for-profit boards, the arts boards, etc., in Mississauga. What can we do to get newcomers to have them become more active citizens, more active Canadians, and have them volunteer their time, but also give them those same opportunities that are available to all Canadians who have been here for longer.
But from a grassroots levels again, would you carry this message back to the Liberal Party and the honesty of honesties and to the Parliament, that this is a general feeling? You see the voter turnout is decreasing. Every now and then we read it's decreasing. There's a sense of frustration.
Absolutely.
What is there to bring the people back to the folds?
Absolutely. Well, you absolutely have my commitment and the commitment of the Liberal Party in general, because we have to get people engaged. We have to make them feel like they're part of our community, that they're contributing, that they are contributing to our economic growth, which we know that they are. But we have to continue to keep them engaged, particularly when it comes to voting time. This is very, very important. We have to ensure that newcomers understand it's their civic responsibility to vote. They also have, once they become citizens, they have the opportunity to run for public office. And we're seeing more people of South Asian descent running for public office, and I think this is a wonderful thing. And I think there will come a time very, very soon where we'll see very many South Asians in Parliament, whether federally or provincial or on councils. And there are many councillors of South Asian descent now,
Yes,
and they will be coming up the ranks as
not
well.
only
to
touching
positions
the
of power.
South Asian base only, I am generalizing it to
new
the
Canadians.
immigrant base, to the new Canadian base, because I integrate with people across the board.
Yes,
I'm
you
not
do.
particularly being a Pied Piper for the South Asians, but in general, new Canadians. They have a sense of frustration. They have a sense that nothing, or I wouldn't say nothing, but not enough has been done to address their issues. And to some extent, I too tend to agree with that.
No, I don't disagree with you either. I mean, it usually comes when new immigrants are here for a period of time. They form a critical mass, and they have more influence. Quite frankly, I know that happened to all groups. As I told you, when we were Polish newcomers, same thing. There comes a period where you're a newcomer, and then you become a little more established, and you understand how the system works. And I think that many newcomers are finding that out now.
Yes, and that takes us to the youth as well, that youth needs to get involved, and we have to give them incentives to come to the folds to begin with.
I can speak from experience. My own children, I encourage them every single day to choose something to volunteer their time. They have to give back to the community. I have a son who's involved in an old age home. I have another son who's volunteered on my campaigns. He's been a great ambassador to me. He knocks on doors. People have come up to me and said, I voted for you because I met your son, and he's a great ambassador for you.
That's a
And he would
perfect
knock on
example right
doors.
there.
So, you make it very personal. We should all encourage our children to get involved in the community, to give back. And of course, it always gets them off the computers and on the iPhones and the iPads and everything else they do, the Wiis, to get them out and to get them involved in their community. And they will feel that they're bonding with people who are like-minded and that they are making a difference. Sometimes there's issues that are very important to our youth, whether it's preserving the conservation park. Well, why not to get together with other young youth who are concerned about the environment and get together and make a difference? And, get involved in a political campaign and say, we will volunteer for you, but we want this to be a prominent issue to you in your next campaign. We want you to help us preserve our park.
Definitely and absolutely. And I personally know that you are involved in a lot of fundraising
Yes, thank you.
events and fundraising issues. You were at one of our fundraisers. We had a fundraiser
very
for
successful fundraiser
Pakistan
you hosted, yes.
for Imran Khan.
Assalamu alaikum, friends. Sat Sri Akal. Namaste, namaskar. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here, as it always is. I also want to say Mubarak for the 63rd anniversary of the foundation of creation of Pakistan, the state of Pakistan. But also at this time, I want to extend my condolences to the families that are suffering through the devastating monsoon flooding that's occurring. And of course, I'd like to address that a little further on in my remarks. But right now, I just want to say how honored I am to be here to pay tribute to a great man, a great visionary, who has done a wonderful thing and the special fundraiser by creating the Shaukat Khan Memorial Cancer Center. As you know, Mr. Khan has a very long and storied career, both in the cricket world and now in the political world as well. But he has made a really significant impact on the lives of many Pakistanis. And I know there are many people who are touting him as a future prime minister. And you could hear with his passion and his vision that he wants to take care of the most vulnerable in society and seek only social justice for all. And one of his many accomplishments is, of course, establishing the Shaukat Khan Center, which opened in Lahore in 1994. And I'm very pleased to hear we may be opening a second center. And that's why we're all here today. The center is a project whose mission statement is to provide care to those most needy who can't afford or don't have the ability to pay for themselves, and also continue to do those important research into cancer and causes of cancer. And I know this issue is one that is very near and dear to Mr. Khan's heart. He established it, of course, upon the death of his mother, Shaukat, from cancer. But maybe some of you know or that you don't, but this is also an issue that's very near and dear to my heart. My father also passed away of brain cancer, a very terrible and aggressive glioblastoma back in 2002. And so I've also been touched by this, as many of us have been touched by cancer in their lives. And he passed away in the palliative care center of the Credit Valley Hospital in Mississauga. And as a result, for many, many years, I too have been raising money for cancer awareness and raising money to build the regional cancer center at the Credit Valley Hospital. It serves many people, but we are so fortunate that we have government subsidized, yes, medical care, and everyone has access to it. For 15 years, your center has made a difference in the lives of so many people, especially those who wouldn't be able to afford it, and provided world-class services and the technology that is available to them there. And I can't tell you how great it is for the family members of people who are suffering from cancer to know that there's a center like this one, helping to alleviate the pain and the suffering that unfortunately has been caused by this terrible disease. And so we're delighted that you'll now be opening a second center. And while I'm happy to be here to help you raise money for this important cause, it would be remiss of me not to also mention the devastation that's occurring in Pakistan as a result of the monsoon flooding. It has taken a toll on thousands of lives which have been lost and displaced millions of people. Thousands of homes have been lost. And it's important that Canada, who is a true partner to the nation of Pakistan, that we join together and we help our friends in their time of need and we dig deep. Yesterday I had a barbecue for my riding association, and we hosted a few thousand people, and we raised $400 that we'd like to contribute. I've made a personal donation, and we're organizing other fundraisers in our community. But not only money is needed, of course. Building supplies are needed, medical equipment is needed, household supplies, of course, food and clothing as well. And this is something we can do to gather together as Canadians supporting this cause to aid people in Pakistan. We must do more, and we must pressure our government, who has committed $2 million, yes, but they could do very much more as well. They need to match any funds raised in the community. In addition to that, they also need to process visas so we can reunify families that have been displaced. How many of you have called me and told me that you aren't able to reach your family and the anxiety and suffering that that has caused? So there's so much more we can do together as a community. So while I'm delighted to be here to help raise money for this very worthy cause, I want to also ask all Canadian Pakistanis that are here today and are residents of Mississauga or Toronto to dig deep into your wallets and into your hearts to do whatever we can to help alleviate the suffering that's at home.
What fundraising events have you been involved with?
Well, let me start by saying that I was very active with Credit Valley Hospital for many years on their fundraising team, and organized a couple of the galas which raised a significant amount of money for the hospital. We helped build the cancer center and the maternal care center. In fact, Vijay and Nina Kanwar are good friends, and they were very generous people, and they donated to make the naming donation for the maternal care center. And so that was a terrific achievement. But that aside, so much can be done for our local community, and I've been very, very active with the flood relief. My goodness, that touched me so personally. The Pakistan flood relief. It was such devastation like I've never experienced. You know, of course, we had Haiti, and then we had a little bit of, I guess, of donor fatigue when the floods came, and so we had to work a little harder than we did when the Pakistan earthquake led into the Haitian earthquake, and then we had the Pakistani floods. And we had to work a little harder to raise money. There have been umpteen fundraisers. We've organized some, my group, to give back to the community, and I've attended as many as I can. I've donated personally, because of course you have to, and I've contributed in every way I can. There's a group, the Zafar Sultan Trust, that packed up hundreds of thousands of dollars of dry goods, dry food, blankets, water, rice, cooking oil. And of course, I came out to help them as well. And we're having a large event to celebrate their success, and we'll be giving out some certificates for them. But we came together as a community, and it wasn't just the Pakistani community that came. It was the Sikh community, it was the Hindus, it was the Polish and Portuguese and Canadians, all very generous people. We all came together because it was a time of crisis and a time of devastation, and we had to come together as Canadians to do our bit. Because Canada and Pakistan, we've stood shoulder to shoulder in the past, and we will again. When our friends in Pakistan need us, it is incumbent on Canadians to come together to help them in their time of need. That we had a telethon, in fact, and I was the closer. I said, okay, it's time. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our friends. Open your hearts and open your wallets and dig deep.
Dish out the money.
It's time now to give, because we need it. But there's so much more that will have to be done when it comes to the rebuilding of Pakistan.
After effects.
After effects, absolutely. And we will have to have a very strong presence there as Canadians to help in the rebuilding. So this will go on. Yes, we helped with the initial relief, but now will become the rebuilding process, and we'll have to have a presence there as well.
Lately, it has been felt that Canada is losing its reputation internationally. We just had it in the United Nations. We'll have to see. How would you address that issue? What needs to be done to improve it globally?
Yes, no, absolutely. You've seen what happened when we lost the seat on the UN Security Council.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this was an international embarrassment, and this obviously speaks to the policies of the Harper government. And our leader, Michael Ignatieff, has made a point of saying that it is his responsibility to restore Canada's place in the world. And, Canada has been known internationally as peacekeepers, not involved in military missions in the way that we have in Afghanistan. It's time to bring the troops home. We've all agreed to that. But it's time that we reassert ourselves on the international stage. We had a presence in Africa. We pulled back. We withdrew our international development funding. We withdrew our peacekeepers. It's left us with a black eye. Our reputation has been tarnished, and it's time to rebuild that reputation. And that's one of the pillars of our Liberal platform, as a matter of fact. Mr. Ignatieff has said it's time to restore Canada's reputation on the international stage.
Yes, absolutely it is. And coming back to the local issues, what does your office really get the applications for? What do you do in order to help your constituents in particular?
Well, as a matter of fact, you know that as a member of Parliament, I'm here only 3 out of 4 weeks, but in that 4th week, we have appointments every 20 minutes to help people. I feel that when people come to see their member of Parliament, it's almost their last resort. They don't know where else to turn. So we help people no matter what their crisis is, no matter what their issue is, whether it's of a different level of government, we understand and we will help, we will facilitate. But primarily, of course, our immigration issues. About 80% of the work that we do in our office are immigration issues, whether it's temporary resident visas for family members who want to come visit, many spousal sponsorships as well, people trying to immigrate, trying to obtain their citizenship. This is what we spend much of our time doing, about 80% of our time. Of course, then the rest of our time we spend on Canada revenue issues and employment insurance issues as well, EI. But we will help you, we will assist in any way we can with whatever issue that is important to you, that if you have a personal crisis, your member of Parliament is there to serve you. Whether it's why wasn't your snow removed, of course that's a municipal issue, but if you end up at my office, we'll make that phone call for you, and so we should. If it's, am I getting the social assistance I deserve? Well, of course, that's a provincial issue, but we'll make that phone call and put you in touch with your provincial member of Parliament, because that's our job. It's our job to be referee and to traffic policeman. If you don't know where to go, we will direct you.
You're the guiding force. Your office is the guiding force.
Of course, because if you've come to my office, you don't know where to go. So of course we're going to assist you. But primarily, much of the work that we've done, particularly Mississauga, the Brampton areas, it's largely based on immigration issues.
Okay. Having said that, when are you mostly available in your office if somebody needs to make an appointment with you in particular?
Well, of course, I'm usually there every second Friday, but I'm always available. So if I'm not there at a time that's during regular office hours, we're happy to make an appointment outside office hours, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday. No,
That's
no.
the
If,
first one.
if
That's
a
the first
person,
one.
honestly, I've got it. We don't have regular Saturday office hours. However, if people want an appointment, I'm happy to see them. I'm happy to see them whenever it's convenient, because I understand if I'm away 3 weeks out of 4, it's not always going to fit your schedule. This is not a 9-to-5 job often as well, so we will stay late if somebody wants to come in after hours. If they work 9 to 5, how are they going to come see me in my office at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock? We will wait. There's not a problem. People should feel free to come at any time. Of course, most of January, we're back in our constituencies. We don't go back to Ottawa till February. So January is wide open. If you need to see your member of parliament, come in January. So we're all there. And of course, if the time isn't convenient during regular office hours, call. And most of your members of parliament, I know, especially in this area, in Mississauga and Brampton, we'll see you outside of regular office hours, because we understand, 2 working families, they can't take time off work to have their issue addressed in their MP's office 9 to 5, so anytime.
To the viewers, would you in general say your office address and your phone number, and we'll have your website on the screen?
Yes, thank you very much. We're at 131 Queen Street, downtown Streetsville, right on Queen, and we're there, we're there 9 to 5, but we're there to serve you anytime you need an appointment. Just call. The phone number is 905-812-1811, and no matter who answers the phone, they'll be happy to assist you. And the other thing I'd like to say is, often people want to wait to see the Member of Parliament. But you know what? At the end of the day, our staff are hired because they're experts at what they do. My staff are very trained in immigration issues. So I don't want people to feel that they have to wait for me to be in the office.
Absolutely.
I know that
Absolutely.
this is how it works in some countries, where you want to see the person who is the elected official. But at the end of the day, it's usually the staff that does the follow-up.
Absolutely.
And that they have the expertise. So please, I just wanted to tell your viewers, whoever answers the phone, they are capable, they are trained, and they have the expertise to handle your issues. Don't wait for the Member of Parliament. I always review every single case. Not one letter goes out without my review, without my signature. But to be honest, they do much of the legwork for me, because of course sometimes I'm in Ottawa, and they're all very specially trained in these cases. So please, don't wait for me to be there. Deal, or your Member of Parliament. All our staff is very trained to handle these issues, all of your issues. So deal with the staff. Don't feel badly about not dealing with us. If we're in Ottawa, the staff are trained to deal with those issues.
Okay. Lastly, I would like to thank you before
my pleasure.
Personally saying thank you. Diversity issue we were talking about.
Yes.
I see the diversity issue being addressed in the Red Leaf dinner we had the other day.
Look at
in
the
Brampton.
diversity. We had 850, just under 1,000 people in Brampton. People from across, the representatives from absolutely every nation. Many Pakistani Muslims. Of course, Sikh community widely represented.
Absolutely.
How many red turbans did we see? And of course, Hindu community, Polish, Portuguese,
Absolutely.
Italian. Everybody was represented. It was always delightful.
And I even witnessed you.
And it was Diwali, of course.
Performing to Bhangra dance.
Yes, I do love
witnessed
the
that.
Bhangra dancing. We had Bhangra dancers slated to perform, and I think they got a mix-up in their schedule. They didn't come, and I'll have to find out why.
So you had to fill in.
We had to.
You had to fill in.
But let me also say that it is an honor and a pleasure to represent the people that you represent in your viewership. It is my honor and pleasure, especially the South Asian community, that I'm very, very fond of. I see them as very hardworking, industrious, entrepreneurial people, highly educated, highly motivated, and it's a delight to represent you, and I hope I do serve you well. So I thank you. I enjoy serving everyone, but especially your viewers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
जब लड़की अपनी स्किन की वजह से परेशान हो
तो फिक्र की क्या बात है, लेजर स्पॉट है ना।
लेजर स्पॉट, फोटोफेशियल, थर्माज एंटी एजिंग, लेजर हेयर रिमूवल, लेजर स्पॉट, where beauty meets elegant professionals.
लेजर स्पॉट हाईवे 10 और क्वींस के संगम पर। कॉल शेला 9054872680।
ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਦੇ 2 ਤਰੀਕੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਪਹਿਲਾ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਗੇੜੇ ਕੱਢੋ ਤੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਜਾਓ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਸੰਦ ਦਾ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਆਓ। ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਤੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਆ ਭਾਰੀ ਸੇਲ। ਘੱਟ ਕੀਮਤਾਂ ਤੇ 100% ਫਰਨੀਚਰ। ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿੰਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚ ਤੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ। 905 790 6790 905 790 6790 ਨੋਬਲ ਫਰਨੀਚਰ।
अपने कारोबार की तरक्की के लिए प्रिंट पब्लिसिटी और बेहतरीन प्रिंटिंग के लिए सिर्फ एक ही नाम, जहां जदीद टेक्नोलॉजी से स्टोर फ्रंट साइंस, चैनल लेटर्स, बैनर्स, रियल एस्टेट साइंस, सैंडविच बोर्ड्स, व्हीकल ग्राफिक्स, बिजनेस कार्ड्स, पोस्ट कार्ड्स, लेबल्स, फ्लायर्स आपके बजट और आपके वक्त में बनाए जाते हैं। आपका काम सिर्फ सोचना है, क्योंकि
We print your thoughts.
साइंस टू गो।
लॉ ऑफिस।
किसी को कनाडा आना हो या अपने घर की क्लोजिंग करवाना हो, कोई अपना हम सफर खो जाए या फिर सड़क पर हादसा हो जाए, सांगा लॉ ऑफिस।
We deal in immigration, real estate, family law, and personal injury matters, but don't settle for less than you deserve.
सांगा लॉ ऑफिस।
Give us a call 24 hours to know your legal rights.
905-456-9911.
ਕ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਵਰਲਡ ਕੱਪ ICC 2011 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਦੋਵੇਂ ਟੀਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਐਂਡ ਇੰਡੀਆ, that they have reached quarter finals. Good luck.